Hey, this is Katie from You Can Yoga Too, and welcome to your very first Yoga Fundamentals video. I'm excited you're here. You should be excited to be here. So in this program, we're going to start at the absolute base, what you need to know from scratch. So this is a program for people who've never done yoga before. So if you have some yoga experience, this might seem a little repetitive, but it's always kind of good to look at the foundations of poses and what we're really trying to accomplish. So even if you've done a little yoga, these might be interesting to you so that you can really up your practice game. You know what I'm saying? Okay, so we're gonna start off in a Thunderbolt pose, which I'm already in. So it's basically just kneeling. I put my little blankie here for a little luxuriousness on my knees, okay? So that's definitely something I recommend. If you can't get your hips all the way down to your heels, totally common. This is what our friend the block is for. You can find out about all these different props that I'm using in our Mad Props video, so make sure to check that one out if you haven't seen it yet. So go ahead and take your block and put it right under your butt there, between the thighs, and that'll give you a little more lift, so you don't have to go all the way down. You can also use a little pillow under there, whatever you need. And then we're gonna move into a child's pose. So this is a pose that you'll find in pretty much any yoga class that you ever are going to go to. So traditionally, you bring the knees together and the arms go back and the head goes forward. So this is pretty impossible for a lot of people. If for myself, it's just merely uncomfortable, but that's not really good enough. So let's see what we can do here to make this pose a little bit more beginner friendly. So first of all, we're going to take those knees nice and wide. About as wide as the mat, if not wider. Big toes come together. And you're going to push that butt back toward the heels and then walk the hands forward. So we have a couple options here too. So I'm going to take my bolster and we can either put it behind on the ankles. And then if your hips don't go all the way back to your heels, it gives you a little more support there. Okay. You can also take the bolster and bring it in front of you. So you get nice and cozy with Mr. Bolster there. And then you bring your chest down. And that'll give you a lot more support in your child's pose. So those are two options to make it a little bit more comfortable. I'm going to scoot this to the side here. We also have our blocks. So you can take your blocks and bring them out in front and then put your hands on the blocks. So that's going to give you a little more room. You can also take the block and put it right under your gorgeous face. So you can put it under your forehead and then extend the arms out. So then your head has somewhere to go in this pose. This is a resting pose. This pose is so that during our practice, when we start or when we come back, we can reconnect with our breath and re-regulate ourselves. So we want to make sure that it's actually a resting pose and that it's actually comfortable. A lot of times in yoga, we'll be like, this is a resting pose. And you're like, haha, no, it's not really. So we're trying to actually make the resting pose restful. So I encourage you to try each one of these little modifications of the child's pose and figure out which one is the best for your body. And then from here, we're going to go into our cat-cow. So you're in your child's pose, whichever form that you're taking. Let's say I'm just taking a little wide-legged child's pose here. And then on your inhale, you're going to come up to a tabletop. So we pull forward, and our tabletop is pretty simple. We bring the wrists underneath the shoulders and the knees right underneath the hips. So now you know 3 whole yoga poses. We know Thunderbolt, we know child's pose, and now we know table. And then we're going to go into my favorite, cat and cow. So again, I still have the blanket under my knees. You can also add a blanket here if you have wonky wrists or carpal tunnel or anything like that. You can also roll your mat up here and place the palms and the hand a little bit higher than the fingers, and that'll take some of the pressure off of your wrists. Other than that, you can just make a little fist here. Turn them in. See? No problem. I told you, you already got this. You just didn't know it yet. So we're going to start with cow pose. So we're going to inhale, pull the chest forward. I'm pulling back on my hands energetically. As I pull my hands forward, I'm going to squeeze the shoulder blades onto the back, tilt my tailbone up, and then gently look up. Okay, so think of stretching the belly nice and long here. And then for our cat pose, we press in away the floor. So you're pressing into the mat. You want to really grip it. So make sure you have little kitty cat paws here. You're gripping the mat. You're going to tuck the chin, pull the belly in to round the spine, and then tuck the tailbone. So it's like every little angry Halloween kitty cat decoration you've ever seen. You know what it looks like. And then on your inhale, you go back to your cow pose. So on the inhale, we pull forward like you're scooping the air with your chest. Shine your heart forward. You can even look up a little bit here. And then your tail is going up toward the ceiling. And then on your exhale, we tuck the tailbone, press the floor away, and round into our cat pose. Let's do it one more time just because it feels good and we like it. So we inhale forward, pull the shoulders away from the ears, and then exhale, round. Awesome job. Remember that the breath is the most important thing about our yoga practice. So if you get into a pose and you can't breathe, you gotta play with it a little bit. You gotta see, how can I adjust my body so that the breath can get in there and work its magic. All right, so we're gonna put those all together for a little flow here. So we'll start in our Thunderbolt pose. Make sure to add your block if you need it. Bringing the hands to the thighs. We're gonna inhale, come up, reach the arms up. Big inhale. On your exhale, you're gonna come down, forward, into your tabletop pose. And then on your next inhale, you're gonna pull back on the hands, coming into your cow pose. Pull forward, shoulders go back, tailbone lifts. And then on your exhale, you're gonna press back to your child's pose. Perfect. And then on your next inhale, we come up to cow. So pulling forward, pulling the hands back, drop the belly, lift. And then on the exhale, you're going to take your cat pose. So round the back, arch the spine, and then inhale back to your cow pose, and then press back to your child's pose. All right, I'm going to go through that again. So you can watch it again or you can join in anytime. So starting from our Thunderbolt pose, very meditative. Very strong, sitting up nice and tall. You're like a little Buddha statue here. I'm sure you look perfect. So we inhale, think of reaching the crown of the head toward the ceiling. Take a big exhale. And then on your next inhale, we're gonna reach up, add the arms. And on your exhale, you're gonna come forward into your table. So planting the hands. On your inhale, we scoop the chest forward, squeeze the shoulder blades on the back for cow. Exhale, press the hips back, child's pose, making sure that you have your props set up. Inhale, cow pose. Exhale, round the spine, cat pose. Inhale, cow pose. Exhale, press back, child's pose. Awesome job. Inhale forward. Let's do one more. Cow pose. Exhale, cat pose. Inhale, cow pose. Exhale, child's pose. So stay in your child's pose here for 3 breaths. I'm going to add my bolster. Turning my head to the side. Isn't that nice? All right. So now, you know, Thunderbolt, table pose, cat-cow pose, and child's pose. So play with these. like I said, figure out what feels best in your body. Practice that little flow. Practice syncing up with the breath and the movement. And when you feel comfortable with those, you can add on more and get ready for your next video. So until then, thank you so much, and we'll see you next time.